Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I have yet another movie review, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This is an action film from South Korea, Korean language English subs, released in the year 2011, directed by Han Min Kim, and this movie is called War of the Arrows. And the story to War of the Arrows is as follows. In 1636, the Second Manchurian invasion of Korea rages chaos and villages are attacked and ransacked by the overpowering Manchurian army. In one such village, soldiers kidnap childhood sweethearts Jan In and So Gun on their wedding day. The bride's older brother, Nam Yi, returns home to discover the tragic attack on the village. In an effort to save his sister and the survivors of the village, he calls upon his skills as a master archer and sets out to take on the Manchurian army with only one bow. So the movie centers upon the main character of Nam Yi. He is a master archer. He's learned everything there is to know about archery from his father. Now, at the start of the movie, his father has been killed for being a traitor, and Nam Yi has escaped. So he's got a little bit of a checkered past. But before his father died, his father told Nam Yi that he has to take care of his little sister and that he has to take on a father role. So in other words, protect her with his life. So he promises his father that he'll do this. And as the years progress, his sister is old enough to get married. Now, Nam Yi, being a very protective brother, doesn't want to let go of her and doesn't want her to get married, but eventually he accepts it because this is what's going to make her happy. On their wedding day, the village has been ransacked by the Manchurian army, who has invaded South Korea. Now, they've taken Nam Yi's sister and her husband captive, along with some other villagers, and they've killed the rest. So when Nam Yi finds out about this, he has to try and track down this army and save her, and all he is armed with is his bow and his master skills as an archer. So whether or not he can save his sister in time and make it out of here alive is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on War of the Arrows. This is a really, really good action film. I mean, really, really good. If you're a fan of action and you haven't seen War of the Arrows, I would highly recommend you go out there right now and see it, because this is absolutely fantastic film work. Now, South Korea have delivered another gem in this film. Now, there are so many positives to talk about, and I'm going to start off with the characters. Now, this is what makes the film so much better than a lot of other movies that try to capture what this film tries to do. Now, I'm going to use a few examples, and I'm going to tell you why this movie is so much better. Now, I've reviewed some movies called Hyundai and The Frontline. Now, The Frontline in particular is a war film, and it's a movie that tries to get a lot of emotion across, but it doesn't work because it's over melodramatic. And that is one problem with South Korean cinema. I love South Korean cinema, but one thing I don't like about it is that it's very melodramatic and it feels like it cuts corners. And what I mean by that is that they don't do a lot of character development, and they try, and it feels like they're lazy, because before a death, they'll give this speech about, how they wish they could have been there for their father, or, or they wish they could have raised their son, wish they could have had a little bit more time to say sorry to somebody. But you never know about this until the death scene. And they try and force it in within about 2 minutes. And in that 2 minutes, you're supposed to feel sorry for them. And you feel to yourself, well, I didn't get a connection with this guy, so it doesn't work, because it just feels like you're force-feeding it. It feels like you're ramming it down their throat, the viewer's throat, and you're trying to get something out of nothing. Whereas if you took the time to build up slowly, you get a connection with them, it would have worked a lot better. So that was the biggest criticism of The Frontline and Hyundai, is that these characters were no-names. They were cardboard cutouts. And in the last 2 minutes before their death, they're trying to cram all of this melodrama, and it just doesn't work. So that was the skepticism I had with this film. But fortunately, it doesn't go into that sort of curse where, the melodrama. There are some moments where there is a little bit of melodrama, but it never feels like it's over the top, because straight from the start, you get an insight into Nam Yi. You get an insight into his sister. You feel that there is a strong connection. You feel that Nam Yi is a good guy. And so when you get the connection with these people, they feel like real people. They feel like people that that you're friends with. So when the bad things start to happen, it doesn't need to go into melodrama, because you already got that build-up to get the sympathy for you. So it doesn't need, these ridiculous speeches at the end where it just feels like, oh God, here we go, another speech. They're trying too hard to be, emotional. Whereas in this movie, I thought the characters were fantastic. There's a slow build-up, but that slow build-up has been utilized to its full potential, because it gives you enough insight into these guys, and that it really does work, because when the bad things start happening, already you've got that connection. You're with them, you're rooting for them, you want them to get out of here, and that, you hope they're not going to be caught by these villains. So that's what makes the movie what it is, and that's why the action scenes, when they happen, that's what makes it so good, is that you care for these people. These are real people, and that these are likable people. So that was a massive plus of the film, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. Now, also the cinematography, it's kind of like the Hong Kong movies of Hero and Curse of the Golden Flower, just these very lavish sort of costume designs. The scenery of South Korea was beautiful, just a very vast landscape, really bright colouring to make it very visual. So visually, it's an absolute treat on the eyes, as is the case with a lot of other South Korean cinema. South Korean cinema, the trademark is their cinematography, how well it's done, how great it looks, very, very attractive visuals. And War of the Arrows is no different. It reminded me of, what's that movie, House of Flying Daggers. There's a lot in that reminded me of this. So it is a South Korean film, but it does feel like it pays homage to films of Hong Kong. And I thought it worked really, really well. Now, other movies that you will find a lot of similarities with is the UK film Centurion, the Mel Gibson film Apocalypto, and another film called Escape from Scandinavia. Now, I think this is better than Centurion, because Centurion had really good elements, but it had a bad ending, whereas this movie, it has great elements and it has a great ending, and it feels like the continuity is just really, really smooth, and it elevates itself up to a very thrilling climax. And I thought the climax, while it was a little bit cliched, you have seen that kind of thing before, I thought it was a great way to cap off what was a very entertaining movie. Now, the acting was very, very good. The stylization of the violence was brilliant. I thought the choreography, as far as action films are concerned, was absolutely second to none. There were slow motion shots of these arrows being fired, and it just had me on the edge of my seat. I loved every minute of this film, and as far as action movies are concerned, you won't see a better film than War of the Arrows, as far as non-stop breakneck speed thrills, and just the characterization at the start just makes you feel that you're with them, and you're trying to push them to the glory, and you're trying to push them to the finishing line, and you're trying your best to stop these bad guys from pursuing them, because once the chase scenes start happening, it doesn't let up. And I thought it was just really skillful filmmaking to maintain that level of, sustained suspense. Now, the villains were great. They were savages. It's a very black and white film. You like the good guys, you hate the bad guys. The bad guys have no redeemable qualities, but that makes it fun. It's not a movie that's trying to make you feel sorry for the bad guys and, kind of dodgy about the good guys. There's no grey area. It's black and it's white. And so the good guys are good, the bad guys are bad. It's just a very simplistic approach, but it's a simplistic approach that is done with absolute finesse. It is a brilliant action film, and if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend you go out there and see it, because this one blew me away. It was so much better than I was expecting. I was expecting a good film, but I wasn't expecting a film of this quality. So this is getting 5 stars. It was absolutely brilliant, and I would highly recommend it to anyone out there who is a fan of action films. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.